It's blamed for humanity's original sin. It sparked a scientific revolution. This ordinary fruit shaped religion, science, and history itself. This is the story of the apple. The apple's true origin lies not in Europe or America, but in the mountains of Kazakhstan in Central Asia, where wild apple forests still grow today near a city called Almaty, a name that literally translates to Father of Apples. Genetic research traces nearly every cultivated apple variety on Earth back to these ancient wild forests. For thousands of years before it reached the Western world, the apple was already being eaten, traded, and carried along ancient routes through Central Asia. As merchants and travelers moved along the Silk Road, they carried apple seeds with them across thousands of miles, from Central Asia into Persia, the Mediterranean, and eventually Europe. Along the way, apples crossbred naturally with wild relatives, creating incredible genetic diversity. This is why apples, unlike most fruits, almost never grow true from seed. Plant an apple seed today, and the fruit it produces will likely taste nothing like its parent. This strange genetic wildness would later prove crucial to the apple spread across the world. Ancient civilizations across Europe and the Middle East came to view the apple as deeply symbolic. In Greek mythology, a golden apple inscribed to the fairest sparked a dispute between goddesses that mythology says eventually led to the Trojan War. In Norse mythology, golden apples were said to grant the gods their immortality and youth. Long before science explained the apple's origins, ancient cultures had already woven it into stories about beauty, power, and eternal life. Perhaps no story shaped the apple's reputation more than its association with the biblical story of Adam and Eve. Though the book of Genesis never actually specifies what type of fruit grew on the forbidden tree, early European translators and artists chose to depict it as an apple, likely due to a play on Latin words, malum meaning apple, and malum meaning evil. This single translation choice cemented the apple's image for centuries as a symbol of temptation, sin, and forbidden knowledge, a reputation the fruit never truly earned. Because apples don't grow true from seed, cultivating a specific, desirable variety required a technique called grafting, taking a cutting from a proven tree and attaching it to established rootstock. This ancient method, refined by Roman horticulturists, allowed farmers to reliably reproduce their best apple varieties for the very first time. Roman orchards spread grafted apple trees throughout their empire, and this same grafting technique remains the standard method apple growers use today, over 2,000 years later. When European colonists arrived in North America, they brought apple seeds with them, planting the first orchards along the eastern coastline. But without grafting, most of these seedling apples grew sour and bitter, unsuitable for eating fresh. Colonists instead used them almost exclusively to make hard apple cider, which for generations was safer to drink than often contaminated water. In early colonial America, hard cider wasn't a luxury, it was practically a household staple, consumed daily by men, women, and even children. This is where the legendary figure John Chapman, known to history as Johnny Appleseed, enters the story. Rather than the folk hero simply scattering seeds for charity, historical records show Chapman was a savvy businessman who planted seedling nurseries across the American frontier specifically to supply settlers with cider apple trees, since land grant laws often required settlers to plant orchards to claim territory. His sour, seed-grown apples were perfect for cider production, and his nurseries helped fuel westward expansion across the American frontier. In 1665, an apple falling from a tree reportedly inspired one of the most important scientific breakthroughs in human history. English scientist Isaac Newton, sitting in his mother's garden during a plague outbreak that had closed Cambridge University, watched an apple fall and began questioning why objects always fell straight down rather than sideways or upward. This observation helped lead Newton toward formulating his theory of universal gravitation, a discovery that would fundamentally reshape humanity's understanding of the physical universe. The early 20th century's temperance movement and eventual prohibition in America nearly wiped out the country's cider apple heritage entirely. Federal agents destroyed countless orchards planted for cider production, and apple growers pivoted almost overnight toward sweeter, eating-friendly varieties to survive. This dramatic shift permanently reshaped which apple varieties would dominate American orchards for the next century, erasing much of the diverse cider apple heritage that Johnny Appleseed and early colonists had spent generations cultivating. From wild forests in ancient Kazakhstan, to golden apples in Greek mythology, to a single mistranslation that shaped religious symbolism for centuries, to a falling fruit that helped unlock the laws of gravity, the apple's history reaches far deeper than most people ever realize. It has represented sin and knowledge, fueled frontier expansion, and quietly influenced science itself. The next time you bite into an apple, remember, this ordinary fruit helped shape civilization.